getting too much technical. Okay, so these are the, let me come back here. So, there are the primary research happening in AI is either in University of Oxford in England, or in Google, or in Microsoft Lab, or in University of Toronto, right? So somebody called Alex, who was a PhD student at University of Toronto. So back in 2010, they built this architecture, or you can say that they invented this architecture. And the name of those like RegNet and all those things, or BGG or this YOLO, is all behind their name. So they've trained their model from scratch because they are PhD students. They have luxury of time, they can do whatever they want. Right? So they train like this algorithm takes like months to train. It's not a one day kind of. It need huge infrastructure. And on the CPU machine, it's worse. So it's all about GPU, right? You guys might have heard this company called NVIDIA, right? So NVIDIA GPU being used to train this model. And then you train the model, and then you store on your disk, right? And then say like you again want to reuse that model, you can take it, and when I talked about something called transfer learning, right? You can take out the last layer from the model and retrain with your own new data set, right? So when I talk about readiness, so there are two. So here I'm talking about two problems here. First is the object detection, and then once you detect the object, then you have to classify the object, right? Here two problems are here, right? So for object detection, something called faster RCNN is like RCNN is called region-based convolutional neural net. I don't want to talk all these things, but but you guys are asking this fast, fine. Okay, so these are the algorithm which is being used to basically detect the object from the images. Okay, and then once you detected the like fish here, then you have to specify which species of the fish it is. Then that's where it's called RegNet. There are so many models, AlexNet, VGG, and yeah.
Let us say you build a model to distinguish between a cat and not a cat, right? I'm guessing you can't use the same model to distinguish between a dog and not a dog, right?
Yeah.
So now if I give if I want to do a system that detects cat and dog and something that's not, so will that be, for example, each of these models for each of these animals, for example, it is a separate network? And
No.
Then do you combine them together?
No, see. So here, when we talk about this 1000, like 1 into 1000, so what you are trying to do, this model is trained to detect 1000 objects, like either it's cat, dogs,
Okay.
or species, like, so they have like 1000, they have trained this model. So you can train your model to detect say like 10 things, like cat, dog, even the species of the cat, the species of the dog, you can do that.
And each of them will be a separate set of filters that we apply?
Yeah. So last layer this is nothing but filter, right? So here it will give you probability of okay, let me finish the presentation. Okay, I will show you how it works. Otherwise we might lose time. Okay, so this is so those who have more question, I can stay here and they can ask. So let's go to the next case study, right? Which is, you guys might have seen, this has become very common, and it has become a big problem, right? The distracted driving, right? Nowadays, cell phones are there in our hand, and if something comes, some message or call comes up, we want to respond immediately, right? Which is called distracted driving, and this is causing a lot of accident. I have seen personally, I know friends and family who has gone because of cell phone. One truck driver smashed the car, just to think how bad this is, right? So this is the big problem here. So what insurance companies are trying to do is, they are trying to put the camera on board and identify that like who's the safe driver, who are getting distracted, and based on that they can determine the premium. Right? So this is the data, right? You see like what's happening, and this is the problem. Okay, so the challenge here is you have to detect almost 10 classes are there. These are the sample of some of the classes, like who is texting, who is on the radio, who is talking, phone, drinking. So basically we are using AI for the good of the human life, right? You can save the lives. And when people are scared because they need to pay more for insurance, hopefully they will not use cell phone when they are driving, right? It's a big pain. So this was another problem. And here we are using the same networks, like convolutional neural network, to process like a determine multiple classes. Right? This is not this is relatively easy problem as compared to other ones. So anyone has any question?
So are they input a clip of video or you take frames out of the video?
I mean, let me tell you, the behind the scene, either you give video, the frame has been taken one at a time. This is how video processing works. Right? So it's either image or video, it doesn't matter.
So what's the magnitude like? Like if you have to recognize an image, how many snaps or how many neurons or how many samples do you need?
For training purpose.
Yeah.
So your question is, when I want to train the model, right, with the new data set, how many images do we need, right?
Yeah.
So you can use, like for this kind of thing, maybe like 1,000 images. 1,000 is, I would say, like a good number. And the key here is the transfer learning, right? So all this image is being trained on something called AlexNet, that net thing. So that net is the foundation, and you build on top of that. Yeah. So anyone have any questions? Yeah.
So how modularized and reusable the entire like AI infrastructure is? Like, let's say for example, I want to have some idea, I want to start from somewhere. So is there like a lot of open source or things that the PhD students are doing? Those like reusable?
Okay,
or?
let me tell you one thing. When Google came in, they have done a lot of good things for us, like who have the technology background. Right? Microsoft was hiding all the code behind the scene, but Google has opened everything. So Google has like a tool called TensorFlow. Yeah, they have gifted everything because their business model is they make the money from not selling software, but they make the money from ad, right? It means what they want. They want more and more people to use their property so that they can push more ads, right? So what Google has done is they have open sourced almost everything. So if you want, there is a data is available in public domain. There is models are there. There is tool called TensorFlow, PyTorch, Cafe. So many things are there. You can go and learn and do it. It's not like I'm a PhD. I'm a Kellogg MBA.
Right. So for example, in that fish example, like can I just buy a data of like fish pictures and just feed it in the,
Yes.
or can I just buy a model which is already trained with the fish pictures? Or
No, buying is not available right now.
Okay.
So that's why even I'm working on some business model to how can I produce API. So basically we can give you API and you can feed your data and it will give you all.
What's API? Sorry.
API.
Oh,
API.
Application
Okay.
programming interface, right? So basically, say like this, I talked about this eye thing, right? The detecting cardiovascular disease from using retina pictures. So in India, Google has launched that project. So what doctor need to do is, doctor need to take a picture using their cell phone, okay? And they just upload it. And then the output will come whether you have a cardiovascular disease or not. So and Microsoft also has, even Google has launched all these cloud providers. They will have launched there some APIs, so image recognition, image detection. So you don't need, you can buy API but not any model. Because you don't need to model, because model you have to maintain and whatnot. And those companies which doesn't have, say like a lot of technical background, it will be very difficult for them to manage all this. Any other question? Okay. Then this is related to language modeling. And what we are trying to do here, especially look at the healthcare, right? In healthcare, 80% data is in the unstructured form. What do you mean by other is text, doctor notes or nurses or lab report. But when the information goes to doctor, they have, I would say, like a 20% information they know only. But what happened? Nobody care, and especially the historical part. So this was another client which I have brought. So what was the goal is to how can we extract the relevant information from the doctor notes or lab report and combine from the EMR, EHR data, and then predict whether a patient will have a cancer or not, right? So this is the data set, right? This which is like written lot of text. So I talked about RNN model that is being used to model sequential information. So it's just to think you have to extract all the information like patient name, and especially this was very important whether it has the BRCA1 or BRCA2. This is one of the like a genetics mutation, something like that, and then get all the information and then combine it. And these are the kind of I can show you all the output here because it's very confidential. But these are some of the sample output which we are able to produce. And just you think like in terms of benefit to patient, doctors, whole ecosystem, right? This kind of information can help them to make right decision. So from the AI point of view, if somebody tells like AI will take your job, maybe, but it also helps you to become better, right? So that becoming better is much good angle than taking the job, right? So these are the information we were able to extract and then build a machine learning model. So then I think Nikhil asked this question, like, can you talk about how Kellogg community can get into AI, right? So this is the recent report published by McKinsey, and they are the job function, which is needed needed to be in an organization for analytics related roles, right? So once you have the one side you have the business role, then you have technical role, and then analytics role, right? So definitely the data scientist role is very high demanding, especially those who know all these ResNet, LXNet. So they are in very high demand. But there is a role for everyone to play, and it all depends on what is your background, what kind of background you want, right? And where you want to play here. In terms of play means like, for example, how I got into analytics, because I had bachelor's and master's in computer science, and then I had Kellogg MBA also. So I am able to convert all these three together and help clients to identify use cases, because there is a big problem, like nobody knows how we can apply these kind of technology to solve the business problem. And it cut across industry, it cuts across function, right? So know your strength. And then the second point is get familiar with what is the AI tools and techniques are. It will help you, believe me, down the road AI is going to be much better and better. And then be your domain expert, whatever you do, either the industry or the function, whichever is your preferences. For example, somebody want to be marketing expert, so go very deep and think like how can you apply the AI technique in marketing. For example, I gave example of taking the picture of the baby pictures or the response from the ad and all those things, right? Even so you guys should know you need to like choose and pick. And third, finally, you need to know the data sources. Like data is, you're asking the algorithm, right? So what is important in AI? Not the algorithm. Important is data. And getting data anywhere is very, very hard. Like if you go to much bigger organization, you go big enterprise, getting data is very, very difficult. You have to really literally fight for it. So when I went to Milan 2 years back, and I was hired as a senior director, and then like I asked for a lot of department, no data. Nobody would like to expose their data, right? So what do you have to do? You have to be a little bit smarter. You go to the public domain, build something and show to some people, and it was a big hit. So that's how you try to educate your boss or your managers to like the value of AI and machine learning techniques. So you have to be a little bit smart here. And that's the beauty of Kellogg MBA, right? We all are smart, right? And then finally, you need to challenge the conventional thinking, right? So when you go in enterprise, people will say, oh no, this will not work, that will not work, this is not the right way to do it. So you have to challenge them. And they start building a small, what you call the proof of concept or something like that. And that way you can show the value, and it goes long way. Or in my case, the thing went all the way up to CEO. And then there was no looking back. So anyone have any questions? Yeah.
So are there any specific challenges for using AI in healthcare with the regulatory issues and all those things? Or?
No, I mean, you have to follow certain norms which is related to data security. So you should be very careful about patient SSN, date of birth, those kind of information. But until unless your data is behind the secure wall. Anything else?
So I work as a tech consultant, and a lot of times in the system integration space, and a lot of times the challenges that we see are customers have existing systems, they want to build something new, but they're not really ready to let go of the legacy.
Yeah.
There is always
Yes.
certain amount of legacy that keeps going. So we have the backend systems is still the same, we build a new facade. So I'm thinking of AI as coming in as an additional tool that we could use and put in at certain places in the organization. But do you have some examples of how it fits into legacy that especially large organizations are carrying and want to bring certain intelligence using AI tools into those
See,
organizations?
I mean, whatever the legacy, if it's not needed, if you need to replace it, right? That's the end goal. But you cannot, that's what I'm telling you. The problem here is, if you go and tell those people, you need to replace it, nobody listens. So you have to start showing value, and the value is need to go into the incremental way. So in the beginning, we have done a lot of proof of concept, which shows the value, right? And if you think from the analytics point of view, think two angles, right? One is either you use analytics to make money or to save money, right? So making money was very easy to convince to the stakeholder, especially in any big organization, right? Show them new revenue generation opportunity.